June 18th at 1 o'clock in the p.m. This meeting is a yearly requirement. It's a legislative requirement where the town and all its departments report back to the general public. The first item of business is the mayor's message, and here it comes. On behalf of Town Council and staff, I am pleased to present the 2011 annual report. This report provides the community with an update on progress made in relation to the performance of measures, accomplishments, and objectives that were set out for the 2011 fiscal year. The town has taken steps to be more transparent and accountable to the community we serve by increasing accessibility to information through various social media outlets. We remain focused on fiscal responsibility, environmental sustainability, infrastructure upgrades, and improvements to our community. The following are some of the key projects that were undertaken in 2011. The Resort Municipality Strategy was approved and accepted. Economic Development Advisory Committee, the EDAC, was appointed. These were local folks that were appointed into this committee to help steer the fiscal direction of the town. The Integrated Community Sustainability Plan, the ICSP, was approved. Again, that involved a lot of community input. The Lake Resource and Commercial Use Task Force, the LRCU Committee, presented 35 recommendations to Council, many of which are or will be enacted by the Planning Department. New bylaws that were passed: the Good Neighbor Bylaw, Parks and Community Facilities Bylaw, Municipal Ticket Information System Bylaw, Water Conservation and Staged Restriction Bylaw. Corporate and Community Climate Action Plans were approved. Southeast Meadowlark Area Plan Phase 1 was completed. KMBR Architects retained to undertake the Fire Hall pre-design. And to the best of my knowledge, we will be heading to a referendum to that coming up in the fall of this year, in the fall of 2012. 5-year license and occupation with Desert Park Exhibition Society. That was a long time to get hammered out, and they actually had to change their format from a corporation to a not-for-profit, and able to take advantage of what the town had to offer. 2010 to 2014 collective agreement with the local QP 608 employees was achieved. A four-year contract that was quite a mark. The marina development was continuing. The protection of swimming areas with buoys was installed, and they're just out there again. And when you look at the town, when I see that, it looks like it is a resort municipality. When you see the beautiful buoyed off swimming areas, you know that you are in a special community, and I think it reflects well on what we are in Osoyoos. A large portion of the Northwest Sewer sector was completed. The 87th Street water and sewer upgrades were completed. We continued with the Volunteer Appreciation Recognition Awards ceremony, and I think last year was one of the best. It just keeps getting better and better, and it truly shows how much council and administration wants to recognize the people that volunteer for this community through their efforts, and it's truly a great recognition. The water fountain was installed at Goodman Park, so that was great. We have refrigerated water over there. Push the button when you're out for a walk in the summertime, and there is drinking water available on that path. The windows were replaced at the Sonora Community Center, and a new community bus was purchased from the gas tax funding grant program. Both of those were great additions to the town. The new vacuum truck was purchased. As I said when we were looking at it, it's a whole new way of digging holes that I don't know very much about, but it seems that you really can't operate without them. They come in many stages. I saw just a monster here the other day doing some contract work in the town, because I believe it was beyond the scope of our vacuum truck. The Cactus Jalopy Car Festival weekend event was on. This would be the 2011 one, and this was repeated again just a week ago in 2012, and certainly gaining in success. It's just heading to be a real knockout weekend. And continued staff certification and education upgrades. The town of Osoyoos pays for recognized courses for our staff to take and upgrade their educational requirements and services to this community. As a mayor of the town of Osoyoos, it is my great privilege to be associated with council and staff who have worked so diligently to provide the utmost quality of service to our residents. Osoyoos shall continue to be a transparent, inclusive, and progressive community offering Canada's warmest welcome, and that goes for our warmest welcome to the citizens that live here also. So while we recognize our tourists and welcome them, we certainly also recognize the folks that live here, and we really did work hard to improve our transparency through everything from closed meetings to our relationship with the press. We're working hard at making sure that everybody is informed as they want to be. So that is my report. And the next item of business is the CAO's report from Mr. Barry Romanko.
Thank you, Mayor Wells. In 2011, our administrative and operational teams continued their commitment to overall success and excellence in the delivery of municipal services to the Osoyoos residents and its visitors. As part of this commitment was welcoming, orientating, and committing to the goals and directions of a new council, which was elected in November. A big part of this commitment was delivering services to all in a cost-effective and efficient manner, enabling the lowest municipal tax rates in the Valley. I'm happy to report that we achieved remarkable success on many of the initiatives identified in our 2011 business plan, and illustrated adaptability to respond to the evolving priorities that challenge us during the course of the year. The business plan identifies projects on a 3-year basis and successfully functions as a staff and council reference and planning tool. The departmental reports provide an in-depth summary of the activities. However, I'd like to highlight some of our most notable achievements. First of all, the Northwest Sewer Project development continued, and at year-end, Phase 1 was completely operational, and all other construction phases were substantially complete. We were on target to have all works completed by March 31 deadline, despite issues with securing right-of-ways through private property and receiving environmental approvals. The Marina Development Project construction was delayed due to environmental issues. However, construction was completed at year-end. Staff has developed an administrative system to guide the operations of this new community service, and I must say that this will be a challenge in the coming year of delivering this new particular service. Planning and tendering occurred for the redevelopment of the area at Spartan Drive, Fuji Court, and the Marina Support Area. 2012 will bring a modern look and a functional efficiency to that particular area. As mentioned before, a 4-year collective agreement was signed with CUPE. More policy development focused was provided this year to provide for consistency, fairness, and transparency in decision-making, at the same time respecting Council's ability to review and make decisions on individual circumstances. Increased interaction with the provincial government departments, such as highways, enabled projects to move ahead in 2012, and certainly we see 2 major highway projects that were accomplished early this year. And the allocation of staffing resources to project management to make best use of skills and expertise. We had a number of staff that took on new challenges because that's what the organization needed, and they had the skills to move ahead. Challenges and opportunities for 2012 will include construction and completion and operations of the entire Northwest Sewer, operations of the new marina, resort municipality fund expenditure on new tourism amenities, first-year efforts for the new Economic Development Advisory Committee, and planning and financing of the new fire hall. My appreciation is extended to all the staff and volunteers whose efforts made this another successful year. I look forward to continuing to serve the Osoyoos community and implementing the directions of council. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your report, Mr. Romanko. Next item of business, bit of an agenda flip here, would be the Fire Chief, Mr. Rick Jones.
Thank you. Remembered my glasses this time. There we go. Good afternoon. I'm just going to go from what's on our sheet here, and it says the town of Osoyoos operates a volunteer fire department which consists of 31 paid on-call firefighters. The department responded last year to 128 calls, 84 for the town and 44 for the rural area A. In addition, the town contracts protection services to the Rural Fire Protection District and the Osoyoos Indian Band. The town continues to maintain the mutual aid agreement with neighboring fire departments to provide assistance to the Osoyoos Fire Department should the additional resources be required. In return, the Osoyoos Fire Department supports the neighboring fire departments as needed. In 2010, the town implemented a false alarm system regulation bylaw number 1259. The intent of this bylaw was to decrease the number of false alarms responded to by the fire department, therefore ensuring the department was available to respond to emergencies. As a step to promote prevention, a fee of $350 will be imposed for any second and additional false alarm responded to within the same calendar year. Planning began on the development of the new fire hall, which proposed to be located on the Richter property. The fire department building committee developed a primary floor plan and a plot plans to accommodate the department. Facility needs and accesses. These plans include building site, access to the fire apparatus, parking, and training grounds. The firemen continue to host their annual fundraisers in 2011, which included the oyster feed and annual Easter weekend haircuts. The organization of which involves enormous amounts of volunteer time by their members and their families to ensure that these events run smoothly. This year we donated money to the funds that were raised were donated to the Children's Burn Unit of Vancouver General Hospital, towards the purchase of new lab equipment at the South Okanagan General Hospital. We donated to the Relay for Life to help raise funds to help find a cure for cancer, the Multiple Sclerosis Society, Ronald McDonald House, the Pediatric Care Unit at the Penticton Regional Hospital. And there's always some others that crop up here and there. At the end of the day, it's all about doing what we can to help those in need in our community. Thank you.
Thanks for the report, Fire Chief Jones. Again, a great contribution to the town of Osoyoos, and truly very much appreciated by everyone, both from the property and fire safety aspect of it, but also from the volunteer work that they do. They do a ton of volunteer work and fundraising, as you heard. The next department reporting would be Corporate Services. Ms. Janette Van Vianen, please.
Thank you. Under land issues, the Gyro Beach was put to an RFP. A successful proposal came from ATB Water Sports, which operated from May until September of 2011, and the beach access issues continue to be dealt with on an ongoing basis. New bylaws passed were the Parks and Community Facilities Bylaw, the Good Neighbor Bylaw, the Traffic Bylaw was amended, Off-Street Public Parking Bylaw was amended, the Municipal Ticket Information Bylaw was rewritten, and the Water Conservation and Stage Restriction Bylaw was adopted. Policies that were updated or new were the Social Media Policy and the Municipal Ticketing Information Procedure Policy. Under Human Resources, the Finance Department's job descriptions were reviewed and amended to more clearly reflect the work being performed by employees. Student position hiring for Recreation and Public Works Departments was done. 2 new relief clerks were hired in December. A new deputy corporate officer was hired in December to fill a vacant position, and that position had been vacant since September. Accounting clerk position was temporarily filled during a medical leave. Equipment operator position was filled after the loss of a longtime employee. 2 part-time recreation facility attendant positions were filled. And as you mentioned, the collective bargaining was completed with QP 608 employees. Under emergency management, I think everybody will remember the Osoyoos Lake flooding, and that was monitored from May until the summer months. Sandbags and sandbag filler were supplied by the Provincial Emergency Program and located at public works in specified areas around town for ease of access to the public. The Director of Corporate Services, along with the Emergency Services Manager for the RDOS, toured around the lake and met residents on a one-on-one basis. The lake levels peaked at 914.57 feet, which the threshold is 913 feet, and staff received updates through the U.S. Geological Survey by email while that was happening. The Director communicated regularly with the Ministry of Environment, Provincial Emergency Program, Ministry of Health, Regional District of Okanagan, Similkameen, and other local governments to keep informed and keep the public informed. The town website was updated and as new information was received. And the RDOS kept a Level 1 Emergency Operations Center at ready, but fortunately was not needed for Osoyoos. Other emergency management items were the Director attended a tabletop exercise at the RDOS, and a search continues for a new volunteer Director of Emergency Social Services. There were 7 FOI requests handled in 2011. Under bylaw enforcement, seasonal workers and migrant transients were not as much of an issue in 2011 as in past years. Unfortunately, that's not looking the same for 2012. Experienced an increase in aggressive dog issues. Traffic enforcement focused on trailers and off-street parking issues. Over 237 unsightly property inspections were completed. New park and community facilities bylaw assisted with the enforcement of park infractions. Increased presence of RCMP on Lake Osoyoos assisted greatly with the boating infractions. And 35 municipal tickets were issued and followed up on. Other items that the department dealt with were the Director of Corporate Services continues to sit as a Director at Large on the Municipal Insurance Association Board of Directors. E-filing system continues to be improved. Staff attended a workshop on meetings rules of order. General upkeep to the town's website. Upgrades included web page updates, consolidation of bylaws, etc. Webcasting of council meetings continued with 666 people viewing. I don't like that number, but preliminary work was done on Restorative Justice Committee in Osoyoos. And the Director of Corporate Services was appointed as Chief Election Officer for the 2011 general local elections. A one-day session was attended in Kelowna on the proposed new election legislation, which was now put forward to 2014, I believe. Advanced voting was held on November 9th, which saw 375 electors turn out. General voting was held on November 19th and saw 1,252 electors turn out of a possible 4,044. In total, eligible voter turnout was 40%. We'd like to see those come up higher in the next election. And all in all, it was a very busy year, and I would like to thank the staff and bylaw enforcement and the RCMP for a successful year.
Thank you for the report from Corporate Services. The next report to be presented would be Mr. Alain Cunningham, Director of Planning and Development Services. Mr. Cunningham, please.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'll start with the Thank you. I'll start with the planning component of our report. First, the regional growth strategy. In 2010, Osoyoos had signed on to the regional growth strategy, RDOS, for the South Okanagan. In 2011, Osoyoos was the first municipality in the region to add a regional contact statement into our official community plan, OCP, showing how its policies support and promote RGS policies. At the same time, the town also took the opportunity of reorganizing the first part of our OCP and growth management policies for greater clarity. Turning to climate action planning, in 2011, Council approved a corporate climate action plan to meet Osoyoos' responsibilities under the BC Climate Action Charter to become carbon neutral in our municipal operations. Also, in accordance with the Green Communities Amendment Act, Council approved a community climate action plan setting community-wide targets for reducing greenhouse gas emissions and policies for achieving them. Council then amended our OCP to formally recognize both our corporate and community climate action plans. Southeast Meadowlark Area Plan. Council had approved the Southeast Meadowlark Area Plan in 2010 as a schedule to our OCP to guide transitioning of the area towards medium-density residential development, including a strong affordable housing component. In 2011, implementation phase 1 of the plan was completed by preparing unifying architectural design guidelines for the area, along with innovative housing models. Staff was successful in obtaining $6,500 of outside funding to assist with the consulting fees. Implementation phase 2 started in 2011 for preparing intensive residential development permit guidelines along with a new IRD zone. Staff was successful again in obtaining outside funding for consulting fees, this time for $10,000. Osoyoos collaborate with the Regional District of Okanagan and Milkameen on retaining consultant services to prepare an agricultural plan for the town and surrounding electoral area A. The plan focuses on land use issues that will be addressed through improvements to our OCP and zoning bylaws. Council contributed $5,000 to the project cost of $30,000, with the Regional District contributing $10,000 and the remainder coming from outside funding. Now turning to the Osoyoos Waterfront Master Plan, the Osoyoos Waterfront Steering Committee met 4 times in 2011 and insisted in advancing the following waterfront projects for construction in 2012, some of which have already been constructed or are well on their way. Reconstruction of Upper Spartan Drive and Fuji Court, parking and staging area for our new marina at Lions Park, extension of pathway from White Sands to the new marina washroom administration office, replacement of Gyro Park washroom, including space for a concession stand, and upgrading the parking lot in Gyro Park. I now turn to the Lake Recreational and Commercial Task Force. After meeting 7 times, the task force presented 35 recommendations to Council. The recommendations address a framework for preparing water zoning, as well as needs to protect public swimming areas, regain town control over public resources, and generally to promote lake public safety and environmental protection. Now I'll turn to the special projects part of my report, Fire Hall. The Agricultural Land Commission approved release of the town property on 74th Avenue from the Agricultural Land Reserve for our future fire hall. The property was subsequently subdivided off, and Council approved OCP and zoning bylaw amendments for changes in land use. After a lengthy and thorough selection process in 2011, the town retained KMBR architects to complete a pre-designed study for the fire hall, which is underway. Council will use information from the study to determine optimal building sizing and phasing, suitable architectural design, and funding levels. Marina. Planning and Development Services played a coordinating role in developing the new marina at Lions Park. This included reporting to Council, liaising with our partner Osoyoos Shoreline Development, and coordinating with True Engineering, Summit Environmental Consultants, our legal advisors, the marina designers, and Grayback Construction, who built the marina. Marina construction proceeded in 2 phases during 2011. Despite problems outside the town's control, Phase 1 was successfully completed for dredging the lagoon, constructing a retaining wall, and building 2 new boat launches. Phase 2 was substantially subsidized by the year end for installing 16 piles and constructing docks, 32 slips, and a boat launch dock. In 2011, Council adopted a recommendation from the Lake Recreational and Commercial Task Force to start immediately on protecting some public swimming areas. We coordinated the placement of buoys and ropes to protect swimming areas at Lions Park, Gyro Park, Lions Beach, Motel Row, and Cottonwood Park. And as was alluded to, those are being replaced again this year. Staff and Ecoscape Consulting were successful in obtaining a $20,450 grant from the Okanagan Water Basin Board to conduct foreshore inventory mapping and an aquatic habitat index for Osoyoos Lake. The grant covered the entire cost of the project, which the town undertook jointly with the Regional District and the Osoyoos Indian Band, and quite a few volunteers on the ad. Information from the study will assist the town appraise the environmental suitability of future lake-related developments. I'll now go to bylaws and policies. Sign bylaw. Early on 2/11, Council gives second reading to the latest draft of the town's proposed sign bylaw. Staff followed up with stakeholder sessions for Main Street businesses, realtors, and others. Later in the year, Council gives second reading to an amended draft of the sign bylaw, incorporating public feedback and stakeholder consultations and a formal public hearing. Council also extended the public consultation process to 2/12, and as you're aware, we just had our second public hearing on the sign bylaw a week ago. In 2/11, Council took a new soil deposit and removal bylaw up to third reading, and early in 2/12, we received statutory provincial approval, which cleared the way for final adoption, and that bylaw has been implemented. There was an amendment to the building bylaw. Our building bylaw was amended to reduce building permit fees by 5% when registered professionals such as architects or engineers provide letters of assurance, recognizing that this reduces staff workload. This is another example of our business-friendly policies. Council approved criteria to assist them and staff undertake consistent and fair reviews of applications for development variance permits, including considerations of hardship, any significant land use, environmental, or other negative impacts, and neighbors' viewpoints. In the area of development control, in 2/11, there was 2 agricultural land reserve exclusions approved. 1 joint OCP and zoning amendment was approved. 2/11 was a busy year for development permits, with being 10 issued in total. These comprised 3 residential DPs, 3 commercial, 2 industrial, and 2 riparian. It was similarly busy for development variance permits, with 4 being approved. Lastly, in the development control area, 3 subdivision applications were processed. Turning to construction. Last year, 56 building permits were issued for a construction value of $2.5 million, and I should report that already this year that construction values are $3 million compared with $2 million for the same period last year. So that's a very positive sign for the future of our community. 320 building permit inspections were made last year, and 3 stop orders were issued. Our building inspector successfully completed level 1 fire inspection training and examination and was approved as a local assistant to the fire commissioner. This will enable the town to undertake its own fire inspections for an annual saving of $12,000 starting this year. Business licensing, 460 business licenses were issued last year for a total value of $41,750. Lastly, the building inspector completed 30 business license-related inspections. And in closing, I'd like to take the opportunity of thanking my staff for contributing to our work successes in 2/11. Those are Neil Padgett, Steve Shannon, Phil Armstrong, and Lisa Wenzel, who has since left the department. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mr. Cunningham. That was quite a lengthy report. Although we needed to hear all of it, there was a lot of information there for both council to review and for the citizens to be able to pick up and get a handle on some of the things that we do in town hall. So thanks for that report. Next to report is one that we all understand. It's the one that we see all the time. Operational services. Mr. Doucette.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'll make up for the long first report. First of all, Public Works is basically better known as operational services. We're known for 2 things. One is actually the maintaining what we have in place and all the infrastructure, including obviously water and sewer, roads, sidewalks, trails, landfill, cemetery, and the list goes on. And the other part is also putting in 2 cents into the capital aspects of it, and that's where all the bigger projects. We get to help design the system and also help contractors to achieve completing the work basically hopefully to our standards. Last year, some of the infrastructure that were improved on was Swan Crescent. And most of these all include curb, gutters, sidewalks, and roads. And any water repair as well are done at the same time. 45th, that was a road relocation. I believe that was also part of a exchange of lands, so the road had to be moved. 87th, that also included, again, road improvements, water and sewer at the same time. New street lights were installed at Torrey Pines. Building-wise, we had a little leak problem with Public Works. That was redone, and then we revamped one of our cold storages to a warm storage, so we had a little more room to work on in the winter months. You notice at the town hall, the flags were replaced. Sewer-wise, to keep track on what's happening, there's a flow meter that was installed at Desert Park and also at the golf course lift station, so we can provide more accurate information on what we're actually using. The northwest sector, that's obviously been an ongoing project for some years. We're getting close to the end, but obviously last year, phase 4 and 5 were on the go. We have a new sandy dump at the Public Works, and it seems to be well utilized. Equipment-wise, we do have a equipment replacement / improvement program, and this is what we've had. And like I say, last year, obviously the big item was the vac truck, who has proven to be very useful and efficient for us in the short time that we've had it. Other equipment has to be changed with time, and basically that's part of our program. Park-wise, we improved a new playground at the Lions Park, and it seems to have gone really well. Lots of kids love it. And a little bit more at Kinsman Park also. There's a few walls, retaining walls that were replaced, one at Gyro, one at Lions. We fenced in the Y-lands. We also, at the Public Works yard, we had lucky to have a fairly good-sized pit, and then we utilized that material to have a crusher come in and make that pit run a more valuable resource for us. So we have lots of crushed material now, and that's going to keep us going for a few years. Phase 2 of the boat trailer was fenced, and we also fenced portion of the landfill. As Janette mentioned, personnel-wise, unfortunately, we lost a long-time employee and friend in Greg Tweedy, and then that rotated to having other people move into their spots. And also we hired Mr. John Laura and as a utility operator to complete our staff. At this time also, I would like to thank Mike Thomas and the Public Works crew for their dedication and their hard work. That's on a daily basis, and they provide, like I say, I believe a good town to live in, and making sure that boat flow and the sewer and water flow in the right direction. Yeah. Also, I would like to thank, like I say, my fellow department heads for their support and in sometimes tough times, and also council for supporting the projects. Some purchases or projects are a little controversial, but you sort of stuck with us, and that goes a long way, and I want to thank you for that as well. So, on behalf of Public Works, that's a report, and thank you, and let's have another good year.
Thank you, Mr. Doucette, for that report. And again, this is the part of the town that everybody sees, all the trucks and the workers and that. And I think we all appreciate the level of work that they're doing. Sure don't get any reports of people standing around or anything. Everyone seems to certainly appreciate the services. So that's a great report, and congratulations to you and the crew. Next department reporting is Community Services, probably better known as the Recreational Services, but there's a shift happening in some of the areas that they've been looking after, and so they have this new title of Community Services, better representing where they're headed. Rather than just the recreational Parks and Rec department. So, Mr. Gerald Davies on that report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good afternoon, everybody. In 2011, Recreation and Leisure Services welcomed its new role as a Department of Community Services. As community services, we will provide more social programming that will focus on environmental stewardship and sustainable initiatives. We will also continue with our regular programming and special events that we have in the years past. The following is a snapshot of our accomplishments throughout 2011. In terms of administration, we had mentioned before the volunteer appreciation event that went over very well this year, in 2011 I should say. We continued with the memorial bench program. Special event applications were received and administered through our department. Occupational health and safety program continued with McMullen and Associates for the town of Osoyoos. Fees and services bylaw included an annual increase of fees based on the CPI. Computer access program, which was a fairly good program for tourists and town people alike to actually jump on the internet. New agreement with the regional district in relation to cost sharing of recreation services was put into place. We partnered with local agencies such as the Red Cross, the Boys and Girls Club, the literacy program through Okanagan College, and both the elementary and high schools to deliver a healthy lunch program. Program assistants completed year 3 of the leadership development course and received a certificate in recreation. Arena staff completed a pesticide management course, and all staff completed first aid. We also received our new community bus, which the mayor alluded to earlier. In terms of the parks area, a refrigerated water fountain was installed at Goodman Park. A license of occupation for the management of Desert Park Equestrian Facility was signed with the newly formed Desert Park Exhibition Society. And a grant application was completed to help offset the costs with the Dividend Ridge Walkway. In terms of our facilities, a new extended hours pass was created for the weight room at the Sonora Center, and phase 2 of the landscaping was completed at the Sun Bowl Arena. Windows were replaced and the exterior painting was completed at the Sonora Community Center. The plant room at the Sun Bowl Arena was drywalled, and a number of other items were undertaken as part of the risk assessment by the BC Safety Authority. A new refrigerated water fountain was also installed in the weight room to help assist in the elimination of water bottles, plastic water bottles. Automatic door openers installed at the town office and council chambers. Part of this funding was through the Municipal Insurance Association. Wireless internet service was installed at the Sonora Community Center, and a new HVAC system was installed. In terms of our programs and special events, we organized the Slow Pitch League again in 2011. It was held at Desert Park, and we had 10 teams. Planning started for the Rick Hansen Anniversary Tour, which was done this year. Beach volleyball continued at Gyro Beach. On an annual basis, we produce 3 leisure guides, and last year for 2011, we had a new format. The summer playground program was very successful. We went from a half day to full day, and we continued with that in 2011. And several new programming options, which included hot yoga, Zoom Atomic for children, historical walking tours, composting workshop, an NCCP coaching workshop, and Tai Chi. At the Sun Bowl Arena, we hosted a variety of camps, notably including ringette, hockey, figure skating. And we'd also like to say congratulations for 2011 to the Osoyoos Coyotes, as they were the KIJHL League champions. 2011 was a very exciting year and was packed with a lot of punch for our department. And we'd like to say a thank you to the dedicated volunteers and all of our staff members, whose hard work and perseverance is very much appreciated. We'd also like to say thank you to council as well.
Thanks, Mr. Davis. And I really would like to just, not that they're any different than any of our other departments, but I really think that the folks that work at community services and work at that Sonora Center, they really adapt to the needs of the community. I really like that we jumped on the accessibility issue with Town Hall here. The adaptability of those early hours in that weight exercise room to 6 o'clock with people signing in, and the things that they do over there to really help all of the community. And sometimes it's a small number of needs, but they really seem to put it all together to bring forth that your department. So thanks for your report, and thanks to the staff. The next department is the Community Development and Tourism. Mr. Jim Newman is not here. He happens to be hosting an economic development conference in town here. This is being held at the Watermark, so Mr. Newman is pretty well tied up with that. So Mr. Romanko will present that report from the economic development.
Thank you, Mayor Wells. 2011 was the first year of operation for the Town of Osoyoos Community Development Department. The department basically focuses on two primary areas, one being economic development and community development. In the area of economic development, here are a few of the highlights. Resort Municipality Initiative. In 2011, we hosted the Provincial Resort Municipality Collaborative Meeting, which enabled us to provide ongoing feedback to the province on the operations of this program. The Community Development and Finance Departments worked cooperatively to administer $737,000 in grant funding, which is directed at various capital and operational projects through the Resort Municipality Program. And thirdly, we had the challenge of completing a new 2012 to 2016 Resort Municipality Strategy that identified the projects that we would in fact put this money towards. And this again was a public initiative that involved the various stakeholders in the tourism industry. In the area of the 2% hotel room tax, the 2% hotel room tax is a major contributor to the marketing programs and some of the general activities in tourism development. Generates approximately $265,000 a year through this room tax, and every 5 years we have to again kind of recertify our accommodators and their desire to continue with the program. 5 years ago there was a 51% consensus to continue with the program. This year, through the efforts of Mr. Newman and Ms. Jo Knight, we were able to garner 81% of the hoteliers in their support for this particular program. We also worked diligently on a visitor satisfaction survey, trying always to make our services better to not only our residents but our visitors, to guarantee a better visitor experience. In the area of the Economic Advisory Committee, one of the strategic goals of Council in 2011 was to deliver economic development in a municipal service manner. A major step was to complete the process to recruit and appoint 8 community members in the Economic Development Advisory Committee, which was done in the fourth quarter of 2011, and that group is working with Mr. Newman at this particular point in time. In the area of community development, Mr. Newman was involved in working with the Community Sustainability Plan. He took the lead role in terms of working with this community volunteer group and the Whistler Center for Sustainability to pull together our Community Sustainability Action Plan. Also was involved in assisting with expanding the Cactus Jalopy Car Club event, and also in the Osoyoos Coyote celebrations. So another major activity of the department is to liaison with Destination Osoyoos to ensure that we have something of a seamless service between our tourism development and marketing and the initiatives of the municipality and economic development.
Thank you, Mr. Romanko, in standing in for Mr. Newman. This is a new area of town, and it's proven to be quite effective. There's a few little bumps in there, but you know, when we start looking at some of the things that are happening, I'd just like to comment that when we look at Destination Osoyoos, of course that's a standalone organization. But when we look at the economic development that's happening in the community, Destination Osoyoos is funded by Rural Area A, the Town of Osoyoos, and the Osoyoos Indian Band. So it really is a collaborative approach to looking at some of the value and some of the features that we have added in Osoyoos, and I think it's what people want to hear. I think people would like to hear that everyone's sort of paying their share and paying as you go, and certainly that's what Council is out to achieve, and you're seeing that in this reporting method that we're at right now. We'll have keep the big gun till the end, Mr. Zakall, and the financial report.
Thank you, Mayor Wells. So the Financial Services Finance Department's responsibilities and authority comes from legislation mandated by the Community Charter, provincial and federal statutes, and municipal bylaws. Our department's main goals were to provide excellent financial services to the citizens of Osoyoos, town council, staff, visitors, and external agencies, to provide sound and timely financial advice to council and the administration to assist in making the best decisions on behalf of the citizens of Osoyoos, to safeguard the assets of the town of Osoyoos. The functions of the Finance Department: preparation and monitoring of the 5-year financial plan and the annual financial statements, preparing and interpreting interim financial statements, levying and collecting municipal taxes and utility fees, processing accounts payable, receivables, and payroll, maintaining and updating cemetery records, developing and maintaining financial systems, borrowing and investing surplus and reserve funds. In 2011, we saw a small increase to taxation at a 2.5% increase, a $3 increase to residential sewer fees, and a $12 increase to residential water user fees. Some highlights from the 2011 audited financial statements. White Kennedy was our independent auditor that audited the financial statements. And their audit opinion, the excerpt from their audit opinion is: White Kennedy provided an opinion in their independent auditor's report to the town of Osoyoos, and as stated, in our opinion, the financial statements present fairly, in all material respects, the financial position of the corporation of the town of Osoyoos as at December 31st, 2011, and the results of the operations and its cash flows for the year then ended in accordance with Canadian public sector accounting principles. In the consolidated statement of operations, our excess revenue over expenditures for 2011 was $4,639,360. Of this, $592,609.53 in general, $214,299.87 in sewer, and $260,340.74 in water is actual cash surplus. Our gas tax funding: this is funding for the Community Works Grant that can be used towards projects that relate to cleaner water, cleaner air, reduced greenhouse gas emissions. It had a balance at year-end at $675,304. Long-term debt, general fund, decreased by $6,605, so we have outstanding general debt of $190,062. Sewer fund debt decreased by $36,836 to a balance of $542,211. Water funds decreased by $18,571 to $283,818. Prior period adjustment, I just want to read out, because there were some prior period adjustments in the statements this year, and stated as follows: the town of Osoyoos has restated its financial statements to comply with the provisions of the Public Sector Accounting Board Handbook, which requires governments to exclude trust funds from the financial statements. The financial statements no longer present the Cemetery Care Trust funds. The Cemetery Care Trust fund details can now be found in schedules accompanying the statements. In addition, governments are to present federal gas tax funding as deferred revenue, which was previously reported as restricted surplus, and resort municipality funds as part of the restricted surplus, which was previously reported as deferred revenue. So they were previously reported in the opposite sides. Under development cost charges, under parks development, the fund is decreased by $94,713 and has got a balance of $903,879. Roads have decreased by $13,307 and have a balance of $886,172. The sewer fund has increased by $8,723 with a balance of $420,345. The water has increased by $6,952 to $644,853, and our storm drains has increased by $51 and is still in a deficit of $14,673. From the tangible capital assets, capital leases section, the net book value of tangible capital assets under the capital leases has decreased by $143,365 and has a balance of $573,872. Our tangible capital assets, our net book value for tangible capital assets has increased by $4,100,050 to a total balance of $44,146,111. Reserve for future expenditures, the general fund has $1,451,147, and this is down slightly from $1,571,727 in 2010. The sewer fund has $1,306,182, and this is up from $1,178,558 in 2010. And the water fund has $994,652, up from $713,213 in 2010. Our cemetery care fund is increased by $2,809 and has a balance of $69,135. And that's the town's financial statements. The Sun Bowl Arena was also audited by White Kennedy, and likewise I'll provide the independent auditor's report, which is White Kennedy provided an opinion in their independent auditor's report of the Sun Bowl Arena, and as stated, in our opinion, the financial statements present fairly in all material respects the financial position of the town, or pardon me, of the position of the Osoyoos Sun Bowl Arena as at December 31st, 2011. And the results of its operations and its cash flows for the year then ended in accordance with Canadian public sector accounting principles. And in the statement of financial position for the Sun Bowl Arena, it also was in a surplus position of $8,067 in 2011. I'd also like to take this time to say thank you to Council for the working relationship that staff has had with you. It's been positive and productive. I'd also like to take the time to say thank you to all of my colleagues that I work with, and as well to my finance department, Phyllis and Janice and Brienne when she was filling in. Without them, we wouldn't keep up to all these other guys' work that they're producing for us. So thank you.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Zakall, for a good report. You're at the very last. Maybe you can just sit tight there, and we'll just see if there's any questions forthcoming from the public. The last to be presented was council objectives and measures, and really I'm not going to present them because it's basically a flow chart, and this is taken from the 5-year plan. So we have a moving 5-year plan as part of our program, and it actually ties into the budget. So what you're seeing here for 2011 is basically completed programs that came off the 5-year plan. If anybody would like to have a look at this, and there's quite a few pages of it, and it just has an action, who was responsible, and what the status of that action is. So you could certainly get a copy at the front desk. You can also see this on our website. And if there's any further questions, you can always phone the mayor's office and put him on the spot. So I'm just going to present this as how to get at that information for now. And the last part of the annual general meeting will be questions from the public. So if there's any questions from the public on any of those department heads or issues, feel free to make yourself known and to ask questions of us. Mr. Marcelli. You may have to, I don't know if that mic's on, Mr. Maselli. And
I hope it's on.
And one thing we know about Mr. Maselli, he knows to state his name and address.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor and councillors, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Cy Maselli. I think I live in 8301 Queens Lane. Mr. Mayor and councillor, respectfully, I am asking that not to be interrupted during my explanation and presentation. It happened last time. I would really appreciate. So I have a few things to say. My comments, as usually, nothing to do with personalities, nothing to do with individuals. It's about positions, what they are holding in this town of Osoyoos. Mr. Mayor, Three Amigos used to be Now it's two amigos. One is Mr. Councilor Ryan is not available. These comments, my criticism, it's directed to you, Mr. Mayor, Councilor Rhodes, and Councilor Ryan. Councilor McCortov, Councilor Plant, they are new, elected councilors, so they are not responsible for 2011. And Mr. Mayor, I read through thoroughly. As usually, there is a 2 annual report, one for 2011, one for 2010. As I go through and compare the results, it's quite a bit different. I guess it's streamlining. In my view, with the facts and evidence, financial statements are not incomplete. It's incomplete. Because indexed to financial statements as December 2011, it states from page 1 till 22, and for 2010, it's from page 1 till 29. 7 pages are missing. Now, I'm not accusing anything, not yet, because thing is, I always thought financial statements are about finances. It's not about words. It's not about sentences. Only the poetry, it's about with the words you can describe. Financial statements with the figures. We don't have a full, complete figures. Like such, 7 pages are, in my view, it's only words and sentences, explanations. Number 2, there is a 4 pages 6, 7, 8, and 15 complete words. And I am not going to go through. I found quite a bit, and it's going to happen similar like last year and previous years. I'm going to hear all kind of comments, fair enough, but Mr. Mayor, as you remember, and you said that everything was fine. I have respectfully to disagree. It wasn't. To find out financial situations of 2011 after exactly 15 months, which is on March 31st, 2012, it's a Town of Osoyoos income expenditure statements, and figures are different. What was reported in financial statements for 2011, here are his different numbers. And as you said, Mr. Mayor, that everything was fine. No. And you mentioned about the Inspector General. Yes, I will be contacting them, and I want their explanation. Because all this year we never got it. I was told that I should be coming to speak to the financial department and so on. Phone calls, never got it. So now,
Mr. Marcelli,
yes, please.
perhaps you could take your concerns to the Municipal Auditor General. I believe that office is starting to open up right now. They have rented space in Surrey. He has a staff of approximately 25. So if rather than be debating it here,
That's right.
Line by line,
Yep.
because I'm not an accountant, nor do I ever hope to be one. So I think if you could, A, deal with Mr. Zakall, and then B, deal with White Kennedy, the auditors, and then C, deal with the new Municipal Auditor General. And if there's something that's not right here, then by all means, that should be completely exposed if that's your concern. But I think there's some steps to do rather than me trying to. I have no skill. I have no skill in that department, Mr. Marcelli. So there are people here that do have skill. White Kennedy, certified. They're CAs. They're a very well recognized firm. So Mr. Zakall, White Kennedy, and the Auditor General.
Mr. Mayor, respectfully, I disagree. You had a chance, council had a chance, when it was presented by Mr. Kennedy, I think it was Jeff, or anyway, Mr. Kennedy, Kennedy's accountant firm, which we paid over $20,000, by the way. Then it was, when you ask question, Councilor Ryan asked the question, there was no answers, and he said he referred to Mr. Zakall. So now A and B is out. Now it's going to be C. So in other words, I will be going, Mr. Mayor, without prejudice. Like I am, for the record. I am not accusing any faults or any mismanagement, not yet.
Oh.
You said it, I said it. But the thing is, Mr. Mayor, if we spend, let's say, just the top $2 million last year, how could it be more this year than previous year? So that's why I'm debating, because the numbers are playing. That's why there is a, who can deal with that, and I will go for it.
Okay.
And that's why I mentioned, because I'm not taking these numbers top of my head. I got all this, and I will not be, because it's not worth, I say, because last time, Mr. Mayor and councillors, you guys ignored me. Mr. Zakall respectfully ignored me. I never got a phone calls, no. Anyway, so that's what I'm going to do it. And A out, B out, C is going to be in.
Okay. Now, just a minute. I have Mr. Zakall has a comment.
I said, Mr. Mayor, I would like.
I'm sorry, Mr. Maselli. It's my meeting, not your meeting. You have made statements about Mr. Zakall. He has some comments, please.
Fair enough, yeah.
Thank you. Mr. Zakall, please.
Thank you, Mayor Wells. Mr. Marcelli, what accusations you're making are very, very accusatory and concerning. The financial statements are definitely presented differently from 2010. They were presented in this way to try to be more user-friendly for the electors. I have no problem sitting down with you to explain the differences and why it looks different and what's not included and what's included, because when it comes down to the consolidated statements that are what's presented to in the audited report, I can explain that to you in its entirety. But to throw accusations out there is totally unfair. We've got restatements of the audited financial statements. I think it's happened over the last 2 years. The last year was due to the new introduction of the tangible capital assets, where we had to do restatements into the financials, and likewise with this year to take into account what I had read out.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Mr. Marzelli.
Through you to Mr. Zakall, just a few examples. 2011 was reported in financial statements. Auditors accepted. It was it's $720,698. Meanwhile, we are finding after 15 months, as of that March 31st, 2012, for 2011, it was $683,015.59, and then we have $1,225,691.17, comparing $2,333,328. Like, I'm not going to debate. I didn't come for that, just to prove it that I'm not making it up, because these numbers are from the town, from corporation, from Mr. Zakall and accountants. Now, But,
Mr. Maselli, just as Mr. Zakall said in his report, I mean, when they changed their accounting methods, they actually moved from one side of the ledger to the other side of the ledger, and they changed places. So because they were in that wonderful world of accounting, you know, whether they're receivables or expenditures, is something that a lot of people have a hard time understanding. Most people can't read a balance sheet, and I'm not very good at it. But I would really like it. We're willing to sit down with you. I think you should sit down with Mr. Zakall and make sure that we're talking oranges and oranges. And if there's something wrong, by all means, let's get at it.
Mr. Mayor, again, respectfully, I disagree.
Okay. Because
accounting, the way it's done, numbers are done, like a banker's accounting. There is a special adage how it will be creative accounting. Now, I'm not expert on that, but I'm debating the numbers. Now, let Town of Osoyoos Corporation of explain to the people who is in charge, new watchdog for municipalities. Let's leave it to that. We agree, we disagree.
Oh, I think
like
that's wonderful.
I do not accuse.
Okay.
I do not say it's missing.
Right.
No. But why the numbers are? Somebody else's job to do that.
Okay.
It's about time that municipality got a watchdog for financial and other stuff in Victoria.
Okay. Well, that is in place. So I don't think they have hired the actual person yet, the municipal auditor general.
Yeah. They did.
They
Mr.
have?
Mayor. Yeah,
okay. Thank you.
Yeah. It's already there, and 6 figures plus. Second thing, Mr. Mayor and councillors, that accountability, transparency, there is not. We don't have any information. 365 days, we have just 10 minutes or 5 minutes today that we can express. In other words, my kudos to Town of Oliver. They have an opening question period after council meetings. That's very important for democracy because, Mr. Mayor and Councillor, if you decide during the regular meeting, then somebody after the meeting refreshes that say, hey, let's back down. Maybe let's research it. Because now in the morning you are deciding in whole committee and afternoon 2 p.m. it's passed. So there is a lack of transparency.
Okay. We'll take that as a comment received, Mr. Maselli.
And then second thing is our taxpayers' money is wasted. I've been singing same old tunes. True Consulting is our town engineering consulting firm. It's built for everything. And we have, why don't we have a engineering payroll which will seek and look and take care of our needs? $854,334.43 we paid them last year. Sherwin Engineering $2,665.60. UES Engineering $2,443.88. That was for what's called museum. Now, having an engineering on payroll, we will benefit in the long run. So this money goes out of our community, goes back north. And this is irresponsible, Mr. Mayor and Councillor. I hope new council and yourself now will think and give us a better service for our money. And going back, just for the record, it says, total printed supplies, we paid over $14,210,291.07. And we receive as a revenue $12,453,798. So we are basically in whole $1,756,493. So we don't have a surplus, number one. So that's the from town figures from the town. And second thing, Mr. Mayor, there is no transparency, there is no accountability. I say because I ask for information. It's the town of Osoyoos schedule showing the remuneration and expenses paid to or on behalf of each employee. So I got this one for 2010. I asked for 2011, and I was told that I will be getting July 3rd, because, I say because, by 30th, they have to send to Victoria. Now, this is a public record. Now, this is a DNA, Mr. Mayor and Councillor, of every community. This is a SOFI, Statement of Financial Information. Whatever is here, this is count. That's where it goes. So that's why I say it's a DNA of every community.
Okay, I think Mr. Zakall had a comment on that. Mr. Zakall, please.
Sure.
Thank you for allowing me, Mr. Maselli. Thank you, Mayor Wells. Mr. Maselli, two of our staff members were in direct contact with you and informed you that the statutory deadline is July 3rd for this statement of financial information. I also gave you the courtesy of phoning and leaving a message for you on your voicemail to say the exact same thing, and as well let you know that if I got it done before that time, that I would provide you with that information as soon as it was completed. It's not completed yet, so I can't give it to you.
Well, Mr. Mayor and Councillor, he's right. He's telling the truth. How come I got last year early? Because last year for 2010 was on May 24th. And we had the May 7. May 7 was already, accountant was here. What was it? Was it May 7 or next? It was adopted. So why secret?
Well, perhaps last year Mr. Zakall got the work done earlier.
Well,
maybe he was busier this year, Mr. Maselli.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I agree, I disagree.
Okay.
I cannot prove it. But if this, why not AGM be for next week? In other words, next month, July 5th, when you have a complete
Because we
financial.
have to, there's a deadline for that.
If it's a deadline, Mr. Mayor, taxpayers of this town should be entitled before meeting to what's called debate.
Okay.
Pros and cons
Okay.
of every issue. So, Mr. Mayor and Councillors, my comments will be same, nothing changed from development, from planning departments, and still we have too many generals, my expression, not enough soldiers. The wars and battles are won by soldiers. So in other words, by our workers. So still we have top heavy, and we have 3-4 people in charge in planning department. So, and nothing going around, as you said, Mr. Mayor, every council meeting, there is not much going on. So, I am reviewing through Channel 18. Like I said, Mr. Mayor, I'm not going now. Just curious. I mean, I don't get it. Now we have all these year-to-date payouts whenever we are paying suppliers. Like we paid Town of Oliver $62.02. It was, which makes sense. They did for us. Now it says Town of Osoyoos $876 for what? Who is the Town of Osoyoos? Some person should be getting paid, for instance. And Mr. Mayor and Councillors, expenses are quite high. That's why I don't have information, the one which is DNA of community. I just took these informations from what's called income statement and GL, I guess it's GL 5010 and AP 5070. So there is quite a bit. I mean, MasterCard, we are over 12,000 bucks, Mr. Mayor. 12,128 bucks, 66 cents, plus additional 2,412. Mr. Romanko, 12,236 bucks, 57, plus 4,000. Mr. Zakall, 11,518, plus 3,000. Gerald Davis, 15,000, we topped everything. And then Mr. Doucette, 8,057. Now, we are talking about 82,000 bucks for what? Why, I guess...
I can probably help you on some of that, Mr. Marcelli.
Sure, taxpayer will be appreciated.
I have a Town of Osoyoos credit card. If we go to a conference, all the rooms are booked through my credit card. I have the credit card for all the counselors. So if I go up there, there will be 5 rooms booked. Sometimes there's airlines booked on the mayor of the Town of Osoyoos credit card. So my expenses, I work hard to keep my expenses low, but those are expenses incurred by council for sure, and maybe others. And if there's a meal, sometimes the meals are part of a conference. If we're away, sometimes they're not. So if there's a meal as a part of that expense, also we look after. I would put meals on that credit card. The one that everyone is very cautious about, Mr. Marcelli, would be that there would be no alcohol on credit cards, and I've never seen that happen. So I'll stand up for those expenses anytime. They are legitimate expenses.
Now, Mr. Mayor and Councillor, don't you think it's about time, whenever there's a big convention somewhere, why everybody has to go? Today, in day of era of TV and computers and others, everybody is leaving town. Senior staff is leaving town. Sure, you have phones, you have everything. What about if disaster happens? Mm-hmm. You cannot phone, you cannot do anything, because somebody has to look after the taxpayers.
Well, the only time I think that the whole council would be away, and then it's not the council that really runs the town anyway. The town is run by the employees, run by management, under the direction of council. So you can certainly give. If there's a big snowfall, it's not the mayor that drives the plow.
That's true.
It's the snowplow operator. So those systems are in place, and the only time you'll see council as a whole leave town is the UBCM, and that is our parent body. That's when we get together with the rest of the people from all the British Columbian communities, 187 of them, I believe, and that is the AGM, and that does happen, but that's the only one that I can think of. It's interesting, at our committee of the whole meeting this morning, somebody was asking, were we in Saskatoon at the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, which a lot of other people go to. There wasn't anyone from this council at the FCM in Saskatoon. So I think we keep our costs down.
I give you credit for that, Mr. Councillors, but you just left for Revelstoke, complete. Everybody went there. LGA, what was that? Was it Revelstoke or was it?
No, you were right. The Silga was in Revelstoke.
Yeah.
There was 4 there. One person did not attend.
But new councillors should be there.
Yeah, they were
new
both there.
Councillor, yeah. And I support that.
Yeah.
Because everything is just recycled every year. So new councillors should be, because they need that. So anyway, Mr. Mayor and Councilor, that's what.
Mr. Maselli, just because, you know, when people were sort of brought into it, I have to give them the opportunity for rebuttal. And Mr. Romanko has a comment here. Mr. Romanko, please.
Yeah, I just want to comment on the use of, or the numbers that were reflected in on the credit cards. We use the credit cards as administrative tools when they're not expenses that are only charged to that particular individual's activities. My credit card will be used for buying stationery, for buying assortment of goods and services that drive the town. It's easier for us to pay by credit card than it is to issue a check. And so that's why we have administrative credit cards. And every department head has a credit card that they can use to purchase goods and services instead of going through, you know, we get an invoice. We do get an invoice, but rather than going through the process of issuing a check, we use a credit card, and it's efficient, and it's a common way of doing business.
And just a little bit further to that, Mr. Maselli, for example, I have a cell phone, and I think the people in the town of Osoyoos would expect the mayor to have a cell phone so that he can be contacted when he is out of town, or when I'm at home, or when I'm out weeding my back garden. So that cell phone and the purchase of that cell phone and the monthly on that cell phone is paid for by the town. And I don't think you're going to find anyone that really objects to that. The councillors don't, they have their own cell phones. But mine is, so that comes off on, like when that cell phone was purchased and went into the contract, 3-year contract or 4-year contract, and it's not my phone. If my term comes to an end, that phone is the property of the town of Osoyoos, much like this computer is the property of the town of Osoyoos. But I'm using it, yes I am, and that shows as an expense, and that is transparency. That those expenses are there for you to be able to see.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I cannot see because I was not provided. Still, I'm paying 50 cents per page, which is illegal, enrichment unjustly, as I explained on the letter, case Zurich versus Ontario, the rest of the provinces. But the thing is, if you are open, put it on the table. If you have anything to hide, Mr. Mayor, not you personally, not anyone in this town, but in fairness with you, Mr. Mayor, you are only one voice. The power is with the councillors. 4-1.
Yes?
So they are more responsible.
Yes.
And I will be holding them accountable more. So.
Okay.
Any
Is
questions?
that just about a wrap up,
Well,
Mr.
no,
Maselli?
Mr.
I would like to wrap it up.
I know, because Mr. Mayor, 365 days, you have it, and councillors and city staff, everybody, we the taxpayers, who pays everything for you guys. We have only 10 minutes now, and that's why I want to open public meeting like after the general or regular meetings. Now, one more big explanation, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
As this is 2011, Ms. Van Vianen suggested was November, that's 4,040 possible voters in the last election. Well, this is a major little bit discrepancy, because when I researched through the BC statistics and BC election, if town of Osoyoos is 4,845, representing all 15 to 65 age group, then 15 to 29 age is 10%, 484 persons eligible to vote. 30 to 44, 19%, 921 persons. 45 to 64, 32%, 1,550. 65 and over, 39%, 1,890. Total is 4,845. As you said, we are a little bit short of 5,000. I believe more. Now, according to Election Act, people residing rural, they have a business, they have apartments, in charge like renting, they have a 1 vote per couple. So they can vote, even if they live in a rural area.
No. No, they don't have a vote. For example, if you lived up Richter Pass in
Yeah.
a rural area and own a business down here in town, you don't have a vote, Mr. Maselli.
Own the condo, or apartments, or
Not
leasing?
only if you live there.
I'm not sure.
Ms. Van Vianen?
No, actually, that is correct. If you own property in the town, but only if you're absentee property owners, you don't live in town, one owner has a vote on that property, but they have to get the permission of the other property owners in order to vote. So there'll be 1 vote per property.
On residential?
On residential, there is no business or corporation vote.
No corporation vote?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
So having said that, Mr. Mayor and councilors, then eligible votes are 4,361. How come is only 4,044 are eligible? 317 are excluded for some reason.
Ms. Van Vianen, please.
Thank you. That number actually came through Civic Info BC, which were provided the numbers through BC Elections and UBCM combined, and they gave me that number. So I obtained that through Civic Info BC.
Okay. Of the eligible voters?
Of the eligible voters, that's correct.
Okay, okay. Maybe they use a different guideline, Mr. Maselli?
If we had the register of voters list, we would not have problems. We would not be deprived of our votes. We never, I believe, few elections never did since 1996, 93. Then was first come, first go. Even years back, outsiders from Calgary and Penticton, they voted. So anyway.
No, I haven't seen a voters list for years. Back when I was being a school trustee, they had voters lists that you used to get and call people up and look at the voters list. But I haven't seen one, and I don't think the town should be incurring those costs to create a voters list. If the provincial government wants to do it or somebody, that's fine, but I don't think we should be spending taxpayers' dollars to create a voters list.
Well, that's why, Mr. Mayor and Councillor, my next aim is BC elections should take over municipal elections to oversee it. Because there is no accountability, there is no transparency. For the record, without prejudice, I did question Chief Election Officer Ms. Van Vianen, Deputy Chief Mr. Zakall, about last election. I'm still questioning about Councillor Ryan and Councillor Rhodes. So 2 councillors I'm questioning. For the record, 1,020 ballots is unaccounted, it's missing. I asked, I would not get, and guess what I got, Mr. Mayor and Councillor? Yes, I want to be public. Always I was straight, always will be. I believe in freedom. I believe in justice. I believe in, but what we taxpayers in this town, in this country of ours, we have our free vote, nothing else. I got a letter, identical letter, which I'm going to leave it with Mr. Mayor and councillors. I did correspondence with both of them, and I got answer, and I quote them, because it's 2 identical letters. I would ask that you cease and desist from such further unfounded allegations, and advise you that if such allegations are made in public, or to members of council, or to media, I will considering all legal recourse against you personally for the publication of this defamatory material. And Mr. Mayor and councillors, through you, I will be responding to their letters January 12th in details.
So who are those letters from?
From Mr. Vianen, Chief Election Officer,
Okay.
and Mr. Zakall, Deputy Chief Election Officer. And I want this to be part of this and it should be
Well,
public.
Mr. Maselli, you know, when you're having these kind of difficulties, I think you should be going to the BC government. You know, I really wish that you'd take this up with Elections Canada. Thank you. I think you should take this up with Elections Canada, and you have, you know, there's certainly accusations being made, and if they're not direct accusations, they're certainly veiled, which are probably worse. And I think there's people out there that can help you in your situation. Elections BC for sure, the Municipal Auditor General's office. If you think that there's wrongdoing, or that you're being slighted, or that you're being prejudiced against, they have the ombudsperson. There's a lot of people out there that are willing and being paid to do that help. And I really wish that, and suggest that you go there and make your statements. We've had the ombudsperson up here on a couple of issues, and they came up to, one was an investigation, as a matter of fact, on what was going on. So there's people out there to help, and rather than come to a council meeting and you're sort of slagging people somewhat, and I think you should have the facts. And you know, go darn it, if you've got the facts, you've got the full support of council. If there's something that's not right, that's not proper, you've got the support of this council. I'll tell you that right now. But I think you need a little more proof of accusation.
Mr. Mayor and Councillor, respectfully, I disagree. Cy Marcelli speaks with the facts, with the evidence and facts proven. That's why you will be getting. Now you know what's all involved. This last comment for the record. As a candidate, not as a watchdog. Watchdog was previous. This is as a candidate.
Okay.
And my right and other candidates' right was denied and deprived and so on. You will be getting full comment in writing, Mr. Mayor and Councillors, because this is my beloved Canada.
Okay.
I lived in different countries, but what we are entitled is that vote. So
Okay.
1,020 it's missing or unaccounted for.
Okay. That will be interesting, Mr. Maselli.
Yeah.
I look forward to that.
And so
And thank you very much. I'm going to cut this off at this point.
yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you, and my councillors. Hopefully, next year, my last comment is, let's have a city engineer, civic engineer in our payroll, and let's save up money.
Just so I'm going to say this, Mr. Maselli, that topic has been discussed.
But
Okay, civic engineer has been discussed.
Now, what is a solution and what's a...
Well, maybe it's time to discuss it again. But it has been discussed in the past. I believe I've asked the question.
But Mr. Mayor, you as a mayor didn't have a power, councillor failed, taxpayer of this town were
Okay,
upset, so that's why election was different.
right.
Results were different
Okay,
than now.
okay.
Thank you very much. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you, Mr. Maselli. Any other comments from staff? Any other comments from the public? Mr. Romanko, please.
I think it's important that we close a loop here on just the letter that's been provided to you, Mr. Mayor. That letter, I recall the substance of it, and the letters that were received by Mr. Zakall and Ms. Vianen. We, in fact, sought out a legal opinion relative to the content of the letters that were that were submitted by Mr. Marcelli. Those letters were crafted by legal opinion, and for very good reason.
Okay.
And the disclosure of that particular content in that letter may be, again, it was not, that letter came from the administration, and some of the content in the letter may bring the situation into a public light, which in fact would be detrimental to Mr. Marcelli.
Okay.
So that's all I can say on that particular point, and at this particular point in time. I would say thank you, Mr. Mayor, for suggesting to Mr. Marcelli that there are neutral higher bodies to deal with some of the allegations that he in fact is making about some of the operations here in town. And we, the administration, stand behind our work, and we would covenant his efforts to seek out those higher authorities. And he had the opportunity after the election to seek out the higher authorities, but he chose not to.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, and just and further to that, I would just like to say that Mr. Marcelli was given free and open time to complete his statements here, and I have been at AGMs where he has been cut off. So that was well worthwhile, and having no other input, we're not going to get in. There is no point of order, Mr. Marcelli. You're in the gallery, please.
That's blackmail. That letter is blackmail. That letter was to muzzle me.
Okay.
And should be part of the record.
Okay. Well, I believe it is, Mr. Marcelli. It's you've presented it. That's fine, and I think if I understood you right, there will be further action coming on this, and I suggest that you take that step. Is there any further input at the AGM? Hearing none, I would like a motion to receive the report. Councillor Plant, McCordoff. Any further discussion? All in favor of receiving the AGM report? Thank you. And a motion to adjourn. Councillor Rhodes, McCordoff. All in favor? Opposed? We are adjourned. We will re-adjourn. We will reopen in about 8 minutes with the regular meeting of Osoyoos Town Council. Thank you.